Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ursula de Cruz. Welcome to the podcast Career Conversations. The aim of the show is to help students choose from different career options. Today's show is about careers in social work, and I'm joined today by Miss Kriti Monga. Miss Monga is a behavior support worker and interventionist with a few years of experience working with applied behavior analysis. Thank you for joining me today, Miss Monga.
Thank you for having me.
Without further ado, let's take a deep dive into today's topic. So, what would someone in your profession generally do?
So, social work is a really big field. But to be specific, so as you mentioned, I'm a behavior support worker interventionist. So, for me, what it entails is that I work one on one with a child who has autism, who is about 12 years of age. And our job as his support worker is to help him and guide him through his everyday life with as much support as he requires because he's autistic, and to help him through everything from waking up in the morning to going to school, to picking him up and meeting his parents, medications, and everything that would go along with his daily routine.
Yes. And what made you decide to pursue this profession?
I actually stumbled on this profession by mistake. I wanted to originally go into child psychology. So, as I'm an undergraduate student right now, along with working, I was trying to start working more with children to sort of kickstart my career. And that's when I came across the job of behavior interventionist. And as I worked with more autistic children, I realized that it was something I was really passionate about. And that's when I found the job of behavior support worker and interventionist, which is more like a more lengthier and in-depth version of a behavior interventionist. And I really love the job, so I decided to switch paths into this.
I'm sure that every day must be a different experience for you.
Absolutely. It definitely is because each child is different and each client is different and their needs are different. So every day can look completely separate from the next.
Yes. And what choice of subjects did you do in college to enable you to get into this profession?
So I'm currently doing my Bachelor's of Arts in Sociology with a minors in Counseling and Human Development. This has a lot of, obviously, subjects in sociology, but it also has a lot of education courses which focus a lot on development of children and how they would interact in their social world and how their nature and their nurture affects the way that they behave and how they grow up, and how different things that are in their everyday environment will affect their behavior, and how we can help sort of um, adjust these factors in order to make sure that they're able to behave in a way that is more suitable for them.
Yes. And how did your working career progress?
So I started off in like my second year of university in sales. It wasn't anything to do with what I wanted to do, but it was just a job. And soon after that, I realized that I really wanted to start working in my field, which is how I started looking for jobs with children involved, as I wanted to go into child psychiatry or child psychology. And from there, looking for a very long time, I stumbled across a lot of jobs that were like babysitting or daycare teachers, and it just never felt right. But when I saw the job description of behavior interventionist, which was a lot of, so I'll explain what a behavior interventionist is. A behavior interventionist ideally is teaching behaviors to children who have special needs, who may be autistic, may have Down syndrome, may have different learning disabilities, and help them learn the social skills that they would need in order to have a successful social life, whether it be in school or in any other sort of situation. So it's a lot of behavior therapy plus teaching. And that was something that appealed to me way more than being a babysitter, for example, or being a primary school teacher. And once I did that job for like about a year and a half or so, and then I came across this job of being a support worker and an interventionist, it seemed like a step up from there because I'd be able to have more one-on-one time with my client and help them progress further. And after this, there is like a step up from there, which is called a behavior technician. And there's just a bunch of more jobs that come after that. But this is how I kind of see my career progressing, how it has so far and how it might in the future as well.
Yes, I'm sure the transition must have been smooth.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was easy to go from the interventionist job to support worker and interventionist because it involves dealing with a lot of similar kind of children. And it was always children. I never worked with adults. And having background experience in ABA, that is applied behavior analysis, through my education, helped me a lot with being able to learn how to do my job, and it helped a lot in the training process as well.
Yes. And what would you say is a necessary expertise or the most critical skill for someone to have within this field?
Specifically for my field, as I'm working with children, I would say that anybody who wants to work in this field would require a set of skills that would have a lot to do with their emotions. So they would really have to be empathetic. They'd have to be really patient. They would have to really be able to learn how to pick up on bodily cues. Because a lot of the children that we work with, for example, one of my clients is nonverbal. So even though he's a 12-year-old boy, he can't speak, he can't tell you what he needs. So a lot of helping him or supporting his behaviors would encompass being able to read his body language to tell what he might need in a given moment. So being able to be susceptible to bodily cues, um, being very patient and listening, they're all skills that I think would be extremely imperative to be successful in this field.
Yes. And if someone were keen to go into this field, what words of advice would you give them?
I know that a lot of people feel that social work is easy, and I'm not saying it's the hardest job in the world, but for someone who definitely wants to go into the field, they would have to know how to keep themselves strong while working in the field because it is quite mentally tasking. Because, like I said, each client is different, and you never know what sort of behaviors you might have to come across. And it's not always easy because you are working with children and it can be hard. So, for example, some of the clients that one might come across might have self-injurious behaviors. Things like that are never easy to experience or like come across. But for someone who is in a position and in a role to help them, it is your job to not only be, I'm not saying you have to be unfazed by it, but to sort of accept that this is what is happening, put the emotions you might feel because of that aside, and then help them first, and then deal with the emotions you felt as a result of it. It's not easy. It is very mentally and emotionally tasking. Um, so definitely somebody who is able to sort of channel their feelings and know how to regulate themselves after they've done like a shift, for example.
Yes. I'm sure the viewers would have found this very helpful. Thank you for your time.
Of course, thank you for having me again.
And thank you to the viewers for watching.